Future-Proof is sponsored by Equipping Young Adults for Life, inspiring student resilience, championing hope.
Hello and welcome to Future Proof. Thank you so much for joining me again, Sarah Hopwood, as I continue these programs looking at problem solving skills, life skills, anything and everything that can raise our level of resilience and courage and being brave and levels of integrity and trust and all those values that the world needs, and certainly the workplace needs. Businesses that are going to be successful, certainly looking ahead in the future, are going to be very, very value based. People are buying reasons why. They're buying the service and the value that whatever the business is doing to serve and help, if you like, the wider community, our local communities, and of course the world at large. And if you've been following the last few programs, then you'll know that I've been working down this list of negative mindsets that don't serve us, and I've actually now reached the final one. So I finished last week. I did don't make me wait, I want things immediately. And the last one is, I'm going to do it my way or not at all. And when you first hear that, people think that's arrogant, that's stubborn, and yes, it is all of the above. The only time this sort of autocratic leadership, I'm going to do it my way or not at all, can be or can have a place maybe in a critical situation. So, you know, for example, fire, flood, any kind of disaster situation where you need this autocratic leadership. You need someone to say my way or not at all, because otherwise you get mayhem, you get confusion and disorganisation and all those other things. But that is an exception to the rule. This, as a rule, to say my way or not at all, will not help you in any way, shape or form. Collaboration and discussion, and, you know, particularly when you look at the journey of your staff, they will work harder and better for you if they become part of your vision, part of your journey, and so therefore they feel included in it all and they feel listened to. And you don't have to do everything they say, but listening and for people to feel part of whatever that vision is, part of the values. They will live to those values. In other words, they will then thread those values through into your business and probably into their own lives too, which means you have a much better business. It's much more solid, and everybody basically the values can be recognised by the way everybody is behaving within the business, because they are feeling part of the journey, they're feeling part of it all, so therefore they're working harder for you. And anybody walking in, any onlooker, any fly on the wall will see a pattern of behaviour being exercised and evidenced by everybody in the building, and not just a leader somewhere saying do it my way or not at all, because you're on your own when you take that stance. So really, this last negative mindset pulls it all together. So what I want to do in this first half is actually run through some of the tools that I have been speaking through the last few programs. And then I'm going to finish, if you like, pulling this together in the second half, when I'm going to be talking about something called a force field, which is a problem solving tool, where we're saying, okay, what is not serving me, what is serving me, how can I get a better, more positive, healthy mindset. And a force field will help you find some of the things that are holding you up, and also build on the things that you're already doing that are serving you. And you might even find a few new strategies that can help serve you as you move forward. So I'm literally just going to run through some of the things that I talked about. Now here I was talking about self-esteem, and I was talking about how we feel inside, and also
what we're saying about ourselves or what we allow other people to say about ourselves. And I shared a story with you which is basically saying at the end of the day we are all living and breathing human beings with a heart and a soul. So all of us can mark ourselves as a 10 out of 10. And what I was saying in my story is I had worked with somebody on this, and when I asked them what number they gave themselves out of 10, when they were first born they said they gave themselves a 10 out of 10, but then as an adult they had given themselves a 3. And I asked them why, and the trouble with that is you will live to whatever that number is that you're giving yourself now. And so with her living to a 3, she then shared some of the mistakes she was making in her life, some of the bad decisions, where she was showing herself to not be as nice as she wanted to be because she was living to a 3. The way we tweaked it was we then got her to think about herself as a 10 out of 10, and then all of her behaviours and her self-affirmations, positive affirmations, raised towards a 10 out of 10 and moving away from the 3, which gave her a happier life, making smarter, better decisions. But I talked about Stephen Covey, who we call it the Covey's Rocks, and he basically was saying, if you don't get the big rocks in your life, whatever they may be, now that could be health, that could be exercise, that could be spending precious time with the family, it's those things that actually you regret on your deathbed. Why didn't I? You never say, why didn't I have another meeting? You never ever say, why didn't I earn a few more £100? It's always, the deathbed conversation is always around relationships somewhere. And so these should be your rocks. And what Covey says is, if you don't get the rocks in before you get in all the other trivial stuff in your life, which is represented here by symbols of pebble and sand and things like that, if you don't get the rocks in first, you'll never get them in, because they will fill up, your life will fill up with the shingle and the sand and the water. So the question there is, what are your rocks in life? And if you're not sure, just think of deathbed conversations, and maybe even think, if I died tomorrow, who would be around the bed? And if there's people missing, then maybe this is one of the rocks you need to go in and sort out. Okay, I then talked about the likelihood of change and something called DVP, dissatisfaction, vision and a plan. And what I was saying is, you need to assess the level of dissatisfaction in any situation if you want to determine how successful any change initiative is going to be. And if the dissatisfaction level is too low, then the likelihood of change is almost minimal to 0. So if you want to instigate change, then the dissatisfaction, some might call it the pain, maybe scenario plan what happens if problems aren't sorted, which creates pain. That could be loss of money on the bottom line, it could be losing a member of staff, it could be a relationship breakup. What is the pain? And if you can get that number up, then the vision will become clearer, and then your plan will literally just fall out the bottom, because you'll be so hungry you have to do something. So suddenly the vision and the plan start becoming more crystal clear. No level of dissatisfaction, there'll be no sense of vision, and there certainly won't be any sign of any plan. So dissatisfaction is the key thing you need to work on. Then I talked about Julian Rotter, and he talked about 2 levels of thinking. External thinkers, who will always automatically respond, and they will be blame focused. It's never their fault, it's always someone else's fault, operating in the circle of concern, saying that we are where we are because of what happened to us, because of what the banks did, the weather did, what you did. They'll never take responsibility. An internal thinker, they will say they are where they are today, or they've got the results that they've got because of the decisions that they made. So in other words, you might feel people are pulling your strings and dictating to you, but no one can ever make you think or feel in a certain way. That is always our choice as to how we think and feel. And if you don't like how you think or feel, we can change it. And all we have to do is just change, and usually it's around the word perspective on what we're looking at. Speaking of which, We talked then about the 8 pillars of joy, which are: perspective is very important. Humility will bring you a joyful life. Humour in the office is amazing if it's appropriate. Acceptance, forgiveness, let things go, don't harbour stuff. Gratitude, see the good things, stop focusing on the negative. Compassion and curiosity. And in the second half, I'm going to pick up where I then talked about, many of you might have heard the SMART goals, but I talk about the smarter goals. So I hope that that helps. I know I've run through them quickly. If you want to go and look at any of these former programs, if on YouTube you search Future Proof TV, you will find all those former programs that have been uploaded onto YouTube. But Latest Television are very, very good at replaying programs too. Anyway, I'll see you in just a moment when I finish up here, and then I'll talk about force field.